He never actually managed to lift her. His hand closed around fabric, fingers digging into the collar of her jumpsuit, and for exactly half a second, everything froze. I saw Victoria's feet leave the floor by maybe 2 centimeters. Just enough for everyone watching to gasp. Just enough for Grath to think he had one. And then reality hit him. Victoria did not scream. She did not flail. She did not panic. Instead, she moved fast. Faster than anything her size had any right to move. Her right hand came up and clamped down on Grath's wrist, not with desperation, but with precision. Her thumb pressed into a point just below the joint, and I heard Grath grunt in surprise as his grip weakened. At the same time, she stepped forward into him, not away, driving her shoulder into his center of mass. That alone should not have done much. He outweighed her by at least 4 times. But it was not the force that mattered. It was the angle. Grath stumbled, off balance for just a fraction of a second, and that was all she needed. Victoria twisted his wrist sharply inward and down. There was a sound like wet wood snapping. Grath screamed, not yelled, screamed. The grip on her collar vanished as his fingers stopped obeying him. Before he could even process the pain, Victoria pivoted, planted her foot behind his knee, and shoved. Grath went down like a collapsing building, his massive body slamming into the deck plating with a crash that rattled nearby tables. The entire gravity well went dead silent. You could hear the station's life support hum. Victoria did not stop. She stepped over him, dropped her weight, and drove her elbow into the side of his neck. Once, twice, precise, controlled, not rage, technique. Grath tried to roll, to swing with his free arm, but she shifted again, her knee pinning his shoulder while her other hand forced his head sideways against the floor. I heard teeth crack, several of them. Blood sprayed across the deck. Someone screamed, I am not sure who. Then Victoria leaned down, her face close to Grath's ear, and said something too quiet for anyone else to hear. Whatever it was, it broke him. His resistance vanished. His body went slack, except for the shaking. I finally reached them then, shock slowing my steps more than the crowd ever could. Ralph was beside me, staring like he had just watched a gravity inversion. By the void, he whispered, Vex, what did she just do to him? I did not answer because I honestly did not know. I pulled my restraint cuffs, but I did not use them on Victoria. I used them on Grath. He did not resist. He was whimpering, clutching what was left of his mouth. His jaw hung wrong. Blood and teeth littered the floor. Court was yelling behind the bar about damage to the furniture, but even he sounded shaken. Victoria stood up slowly, stepped back, and raised her hands. Her breathing was steady, calm, like she had just finished a routine task. I believe, she said politely, he assaulted me. I stared at her. Station law was very clear on that point. He had, on camera, in front of witnesses. Yes, I said slowly. Yes, he did. Medical arrived minutes later. It took 6 of them and an anti-grav stretcher to move Grath. As they lifted him, I saw the damage properly. His wrist was shattered, not broken, shattered, multiple fractures. His jaw was dislocated and cracked in 3 places. His teeth, well, most of them were gone. Later, the medic would tell me he had severe spinal nerve trauma from the neck strikes. He would live, but he would never eat solid food again. Hence the tube. Station management reviewed the footage the next day. Every angle, every frame, they ruled it self-defense, excessive force. No, just sufficient. Grath was permanently banned from Kalara 9. Humans, it turned out, were classified as a Class 10 endurance species. Their muscles were denser than they looked. Their bones lighter but reinforced. Their pain tolerance off the charts. And their homeworld. Not a paradise. A death world masquerading as a garden. Predators, gravity, disease, competition, constant pressure. They did not evolve armor because they did not need it. They evolved adaptability, technique, ruthless efficiency when threatened. I asked Victoria later where she learned to fight like that. She shrugged and said, self-defense classes, and my older brother. After that night, the betting pool disappeared. No one laughed at humans anymore. No one called them soft. And every time a new species arrives at the station and asks me about them, I give the same advice. Never grab a human by the collar, especially the small ones. They are not fragile. They are restrained. After that night, the gravity well never felt the same. Places remember violence the way bodies do. The scuff marks on the deck where Grath's head hit stayed there for weeks before maintenance finally scrubbed them out. And even then, people would glance at the spot and lower their voices. Stories spread faster than pathogens on a trade station. By the next rotation, every cantina on Kellera 9 had its own version of what happened. Some said Victoria killed him and security covered it up. Others claimed she was some kind of genetically modified assassin. One particularly creative rumor insisted humans had retractable claws they only revealed in combat. The truth was less dramatic and far more unsettling. She was just human, and that was the problem. I filed my report like I always do, factual, precise, stripped of emotion. But even reading it back later, I could see the cracks where my assumptions used to be. Small, fragile, garden world. I had written those words in my head 100 times before. I never wrote them again. Station management requested a full security briefing 3 cycles later. High-level closed room. No press, no traders. Just administrators, medical officers, and security leads. Humans had officially requested expanded docking privileges and a long-term trade presence. Under normal circumstances, it would have been rubber-stamped. After the gravity well incident, nothing involving humans was considered normal anymore. I stood in front of a holodisplay showing the incident footage frame by frame. I explained angles, leverage, center of mass disruption, nerve targeting. I had to learn the terms myself. Pulling data from human combat manuals their delegation had voluntarily provided after the review. Voluntarily. That alone should have told us something. The medical officer interrupted me halfway through. Her frills flushed a pale blue. You're saying she incapacitated a Krath-class heavy labor organism in under 4 seconds? Yes, I said, without tools. Without enhancements. That should be biologically impossible. I met her eyes. It isn't. It's just unfamiliar. Silence followed. The kind that means minds are rearranging themselves. Humans started getting space in the birth schedules nobody else wanted. Close to exits, clear sightlines, redundant cameras. Not because they asked for protection, but because everyone else suddenly wanted distance. I noticed traders giving them room in corridors. Cargo haulers stopped making jokes. Predators reassess when prey stops behaving like prey. Victoria kept doing what she always did, negotiating, smiling, drinking coffee, helping people pick up dropped components. The difference was that now, when conversations stopped as she walked past, it wasn't dismissal, it was calculation. I caught her watching it happen once, the subtle shift in posture around her, the way bodies leaned away. She sighed. I hate this part, she said quietly. I asked what she meant. When people stop seeing you as a person and start seeing you as a threat. I did not know how to respond to that. 2 rotations later, we had our first copycat incident. Different cantina, different species, same mistake. A docky tried to shove a human engineer during a contract dispute. The human broke his arm and dislocated his jaw before security arrived. Clean, efficient, no fatalities, just consequences. That one did not involve Victoria. That was worse. Because it meant the pattern was not isolated. Humans were not dangerous because of one exceptional individual. They were dangerous because restraint was a choice they made, not a limitation imposed on them. That realization rippled outward. Reports from other stations followed. Similar incidents, similar outcomes. Always the same conclusion. Provocation, human response, medical evacuation. The Galactic Commerce Council requested data, then explanations, then formal classification reviews. Earth's designation quietly changed in internal documents long before the public announcement. Class 7 became Class 12, high gravity, Deathworld. Persistent megafauna, endurance, predators, pack cooperation, tool specialization, psychological aggression, tolerance. When the official notice finally went out, there was outrage, disbelief, accusations of exaggeration. Humans responded by opening their historical archives. Wars, famines, plagues, survival footage, training regimens. It shut everyone up. You cannot argue with a species that documents its own brutality in high definition. I asked Victoria once why she did not warn anyone. Why humans let the galaxy think they were weak. She stirred her coffee and shrugged. Because it usually keeps us alive, she said. Predators don't attack what they think isn't worth the effort. We learned that a long time ago. I thought about Graf, about his smile, about the half-second where he thought he had won, and if they attack anyway, I asked. She looked up at me then, eyes calm, steady. Then they learn. 6 months later, humans had a permanent embassy on Kelleran 9. Security protocols were updated. Every new arrival received the same briefing. Station etiquette, trade laws, and one unofficial warning passed quietly from mouth to mouth. Don't touch the humans, don't corner them, don't mistake politeness for weakness. The gravity well put up a new sign behind the bar. It was small, easy to miss. No physical harassment. Violators will be removed. Court swore it was for insurance reasons. Nobody believed him. As for Graf, I saw him once more. Through a medical feed, he was alive, but diminished. Feeding tube, rehabilitation harness. His eyes avoided the camera. A predator who had learned the cost of certainty. I felt no satisfaction. Just understanding. The galaxy did not change overnight. It never does. But slowly, cautiously, it adjusted. Humans were no longer jokes. They were no longer targets. They were something far more dangerous. Neighbors, and every time a new species asks me about them, every time they laugh at the size, the lack of armor, the soft skin, I give them the same advice. The advice that would have saved Graf his teeth. Never grab a human by the collar, especially the small ones, because what looks like weakness is often just restraint. And restraint, once released, is terrifying.